Starting out in Star Citizen can be tough. You can get lost in the starting locations, and if you manage to make it to your ship hangar, once you kind of get out into space, it's hard to tell what you're even looking at, what should be prioritized and what should be ignored. And it's those initial lessons that can be the largest barrier from getting into Star Citizen. Those first hours where you're trying to figure out what it is you're doing. These are the tips that I wish I knew when I first started playing Star Citizen. Things that I had no reference for were so obscure I didn't even know if it was something that could be Googled or I'd look stupid for asking about. My name's Dave Leader. Let's take a little tippy too. I don't know why I said that. I don't know what a little tippy too means. Now the first one is when you're claiming a vehicle and you have the opportunity to pay to have it expedited. If it says that the expedited time isn't instant, then why bother paying for it just yet? Don't just click on it and then pay expedited fee. Wait until that time is up, since the amount that it costs keeps going down with time. And if you're gonna wait that amount of time anyway, you might as well wait until it counts down so you can get the cheapest price possible. Sometimes when you're locked onto a location that you want to quantum to, even though it says that spooling's complete and it's all calibrated, it won't engage. This happens quite common, probably every time you play. And the way to fix it is just look up so you break connection to it and then make contact with it again and just respool. That's it. It'll probably happen almost every time you play, and instead of just sitting there wondering why the button doesn't work, just break contact and then respool again. Because you're likely to waste more time sitting there wondering what the hell's going on. Now, when you go to mining outposts or any location really that has loot, when I first started looking at these boxes, I really was bamboozled what I was looking at. I couldn't tell if what I was looking at was worth a lot and I should be collecting it or just leaving it alone. So at these mining outposts, essentially the red boxes will always have armor pieces and undersuits, but they're never really all that good. But in these gray ones, you'll see all these different types of things in here, like clothing, foods, weird fruit looking stuff. If you click on filter, you can kind of filter through to see what all these are, but the only things that you really want are probably going to be the food and utility pieces. These like weird fruit looking things are actually commodities, so you can't eat that melon looking thing or this weird ballsack looking beast. Is it purely to sell at commodity kiosks? So if you're not interested in that sort of gameplay, I just sort of dump them. And a good tip here, when you're looking at all these different food bars, some of these foods can dehydrate you, meaning that if you eat them, your hydration level's going to go down. A quick way to tell which ones are which are, if they're thin, they're going to dehydrate you, or if they're thick boys, they'll be fine. So just leave the thin bars behind and pick all the thick ones and you'll be good. Here's an example of the type of things that I would take away from a mining outpost, and the other things you saw, I just left them all behind. Every time I would empty my inventory into the ship, I'll usually take these items out and keep with me. A couple drinks, maybe a piece of food, and any health items that I have. It'd be quite confusing looking at all these markers in space, but a good tip to know is that if it says OM and then a number, that means orbital marker. And these are placed all around a planet, and they're purely just so you can navigate around a planet. You might notice sometimes if you're looking to QT somewhere, a planet might be in the way of the location, and so you have to find your way to kind of get around the planet. Or if you set a course, you'll often see that there's orbital markers added into the course destination. Other than that, these little kind of a square with a pointy bit at the bottom, that means that's a city location. So each main sort of planet will have, say Lawville is a city, and the city on Hurston, Area 18 is the main city in ArcCorp. All these other ones around here, all these little, I don't know what that shape is called. They're just different points that you can jump to otherwise. If you see here, square markers are space stations. So above each main planet, there'll usually be a space station. And so if you're looking at all these different blue markers, the key ones to know are the square ones are the space stations, and the square with little pointed at the bottom are the main cities. Now, I did a whole video on this, but there are farms on a lot of planets where if you head to, they're actually loot farms. You can head directly there and there'll just be relatively good loot just sitting around unprotected. No NPCs will be there. But recently, it does seem like they may have nerfed the loot table for it. It used to be you could get a whole bunch of guns and it was usually quite full. It's either that they've nerfed it, or since my last video, they kind of got a little bit popular, and so they're often looted by the time you get there. But they are a good source of getting tiger claws, knives, multi-tools, and multi-tool attachments. Those are found are still there. I don't know if that's the majority of the loot you can find there now, or that's just the stuff that people leave behind. But hey, it's always important to have a good ready source of tiger claws. The next tip is crime is free. Well, at least if you turn the local comms array off. If you can see in the top right here, there's that on the top of my screen and probably in front of your screen as well, there's a little satellite looking icon on the top right. This means that the comm array is active in the area that you're in and that crimes can be reported. But if you go to your local comms array and you fly around so it's, what do you call them? Wings. Look flat, you can move right up in on it. It is a protected area with turrets on top of it. So if you get close to these things, they will fire on you. But by coming into this angle where it's flat here, you see the turrets are actually on top of this. And so they can't hit me without hitting the comm array itself. So if you come in sneaky like this, you can head right in without taking any damage. There you go, you can see the turret icon over there and they can't get me. So once you're out of your ship, head in one of these little entrances here. And if you remember before I said the loot farms about those tiger claws, well, this is what you need them for, or one of the reasons, because you use them to hack certain computers in the game. So if I go up to this little console here, it's asking for maintenance. It's a maintenance control panel that's asking for a passkey authorization. But I'll select one of my tiger's claws here that I just grabbed at that loot farm and insert it into this little dock here. And automatically the crypto key will initiate and it's going to start hacking the system. So it's going to attempt to access the system here as this bar fills up. At this point, you don't really need to do anything. Every now and then it will give you this little alert where the progress will halt and you've got 90 seconds to click continue. But it's pretty easy. It doesn't take very long to do. Just keep in mind that when you do hack these, there will be a mission being sent out to other people saying that, this comm array is being hacked and there'll be a bounty on them to stop it from being hacked, but you won't get a crime stat for doing this. Once that you've hacked in with that crypto key, you'll have the maintenance control access and you can shut down the network in this area, which is essentially around this planet, or on the planet and around in space. And you can do it with every planet and moon. So once you've done that, as you can see at the top right here, I don't have that satellite icon anymore. That means I could kill someone or someone could kill me and no one would get a crime stat for it. So you can go and straight up kill lawful security guards and blow up other players and not get a crime stat or have to go to jail, as long as you take down that comm array in the area, and that'll stay down until someone else gets back online. The next tip here is that the only way to get extra space onto a ship is to make large crates, and the best way to do that is to blow up your own ships. As you can see, someone actually had done this prior to me doing it for the test for this video. As you can see, there's a Pisces here. A very good and easy way of doing this is if you've got a Pisces, you fill it up with whatever kind of gear that you can as much as possible, take it out of an armistice zone and set it to self-destruct, and once that bad boy blows up, all the loot that was contained inside of the ship will now be turned into these little boxes. So you can use a tractor beam and take these boxes away and put them back on your own ship and just use them as general storage. This is particularly handy for ships like the Redeemer that I'm actually using at the moment, where it has a very, very small internal amount of space. So having like a few of these on board is really helpful. And also because you can use these crates to take into bunkers or other mission areas and load them up with loot as you go. And so instead of only being able to carry, you know, what you can carry on you in a backpack, you can carry a whole lot more inside of these crates, as long as you bring them around with you. It can be quite precarious, so you need to be able to fit them in corners, but it is a good way of getting loot out of places. As you can see here in the Redeemer, there's 2 SCU crate, which you get for, it's particularly if you've got a lot of loot and whatever you blow up, you can get one of these ones, has twice the size of the other one. It fits right there in that little cargo area well. But these smaller ones are the better ones to be able to take into bunkers, as they're a lot easier to sort of maneuver around. You can see here, I'm going into this bunker to load up. It's not the best with like armor pieces because you can't access the, you know, the dead person inventory and the box inventory at the same time to drag them in. But when it comes to things like guns, you can actually, when you're in this mode here, when you're looking in the storage of something, you actually drag things that are on the ground directly into the storage now. So say I've got these guns that are just sitting on the ground here. If I've got this box nearby, I can just drag and drop them in the box without having to actually ever pick them up onto my person. And this box is now, like, guns don't weigh all that much as well, so this box is just loaded with guns. I don't know why it's doing this little wobble, but I like to feel it's because it knew how full of goodies it was. And if you press X, you lie down like this. And then if you press Q or E, you lie on your back like this. And then if you hold up and down on the mouse, it kind of looks like you're sucking your dick. And if you do it well enough, you might get people joining you as well, but that's always a bonus. So backpacks are actually invincible, as in bullets can't penetrate them. So technically, this outfit I'm wearing here is the most defensible outfit you could wear in the game. Since it's the largest backpack you can have, and if you're holding one in front of yourself while you get one behind you, you've essentially got 2 indestructible shields on either side of you. Another tip here is these small fighters, which usually wouldn't have an inventory of their own, now do. When you hover over the entry button, you'll now see an open storage button. So I'm gonna chuck this backpack in here, and we're going to test out exactly how invincible you can be with these backpacks. I've seen people do tests with these before where they've just had like friends shoot them and they don't do any damage, but I've never seen anyone actually try to like go into a bunker with them. So let's just do this. Let's just do a little bit of science quickly. I'm going to head in here and I'm going to have a big backpack on my back and a big pack in front of me. Let's just see if I head real deep in here, how long I can kind of survive. I've got a bounty here for someone I'm supposed to take out. This is actually the same bunker I was in previously, so you may notice these dead bodies look pretty similar. I'm hoping that they're still just dead. There's no way they can still be dead, but I mean, I can't see anyone around here. There's got to be people spawned in. I just don't see them yet. Yeah, these are all, I missed these guns last time. That's where I was loading those in before. Still don't see anyone. Keep talking. Wait. Ah! Oh, no, just hold still, hold still, hold the shit, hold it up like a shield. God, I've got to heal. Oh, wait, am I dead? No, I'm alive. Sucked in. Oh shit! Run! I don't have a shield. This is not fair, you guys. I don't have a backpack shield. dropped her when I tried to kill myself. That's the guy I'm supposed to kill. Hey, buddy, come here. I got a message for you. Hey, yeah! There you go. Mission complete. Now some just traps in here. Let me get my backpack back. Gotta whiff that. Okay. Oh! Thanks for standing around, guys. Hello? Oh. And it's time for another tip. If you wanna wear the inventory of a dead body that's around, it's easy to chuck everything on at once if you are naked. All you gotta do is, without anything on, walk up to a body, go to loot it, and then you can just double click or drag the undersuit on and it'll bring everything that's attached to that body with you. That's important where if you go down and you're trying, you revive and you want to get back to where your body was to save all your gear. It's a good thing to clear out as many people in that area as possible. Then once you think it's safe, strip down, run up to your body as fast as possible, click loot, and then drag everything on, then get back to safety and just sort of regroup and make sure you're ready to go and not being shot at. All right, I think I could hear someone in here, but I'm just going to bolt with my... Now I've got my shield, backpack. Okay, yeah, we're good. You know what? I mean, kind of seems like we stuffed that up, but I didn't. I didn't die. The backpack trick worked. Look at that. There really is just like a small amount of space to get hit by. I mean, look, yeah, I was shot and everything, but hey, I did pretty good. And if you forget the keys to your car or spaceship, a gun works just as well. And this is how pirates will be gaining entry to your ship as well, because while you can't open the doors of someone else's ship, if you just do enough damage to them, then eventually they will just automatically open. And so that's how you get boarded by other people. Yep, there we go. Next tip here, I'm gonna go to a website in here called Urkel.games, and in this area you can pick a ship that you want to fit out, and you can look at all the different components that will fit that ship. So here I'm looking at quantum drives. I'm going to sort them by grade, so the top ones, and it has Echo attached, which has 100 max speed and quite a large distance, but this TS2 has twice the amount of speed and still a good amount of distance. So let's say I want that one. I want to get a couple FR86 shields on here, which have a better full charge time and more health. As you're doing it, you can see on the right here how much electricity or how much heat your system will be generating, and as long as it's not like maxing out any of those, then you don't really have to worry about changing or upgrading your power or cooling system. As long as everything that when you've changed it here and sort of loaded it out is within means, then it's all good. So you can see here which guns, the range, the amount of damage they do, how much power that they draw, or how much they raise your EM signature or IR. A lot of these different things will change the heat and electricity output of your ship. You can see here the EM and IR ones, and that essentially means how much more of a target you'll be, when you pop on someone else's radar, or when you when a missile's coming after you, if it's an electric or a heat based missile. So once you've got everything you want, click non-stock items, the cart, and then when you go to the little cart up here, it's actually going to make a little shopping list for you of all the items that you selected that you wanted on your ship, and it will say where you can get them from, how much all the pieces are going to cost, and what the total is. So this is a great tool for setting up what you want your ship to look like when it's at its peak. You can set it all out here, and then you'll have a goal of how much money you need to make in the verse and where to go get these pieces to upgrade it. I recommend starting with the QT drive, because that'll make getting around the entire verse a lot faster and will speed the whole thing up. Now, this website here is another one I like to use for cargo trading and just ship information. So for instance here, we set here that I want to buy and sell medical supplies in my A2 Hercules Starlifter. I want to buy them at Deacon's Research for 16.05 and sell them at Bagini for 19.35. It'll tell you how much money you need to invest and how much profit you'd make from this cargo trip. And from here, it lets you know what's kind of worth it, what's a bit risky, and what's not even worth kind of buying it to do it. And on this ship page here, it actually has a list of all the ships in game, how much they cost like in real world money, how much they cost in the game, how much if you can rent them in game or not. It'll even have the SCU, like capacity of how much they can carry, and it'll also have if CIG made like a commercial for it, or if they made a special website or a brochure for it, you can actually click on it. It will take you directly to the official brochure, so you can really find like great background on the ships, including like things that they may eventually have that may not be in the game yet. If you weren't around for when something was concepted, this is all the material that came out when they were first sort of offered. So you can find out where the ship is, what it was supposed to be, or where it may be kind of going really well by looking at this ship. And I think these two websites really just, when used correctly, you'll get as much information as anyone else in the verse has on these ships. You'll be a pro in no time, trust me. And I recently just started a Patreon, so I wanted to thank my Wall of Legends. Zaleray, I once saw you in a bar and you kicked my ass when I came up to say hey, but you were really nice at the end, and I'll always respect you for how forgiving you were of my presence. Jaden, oh my god, I once saw you slam dunk basketball so hard that the whole court exploded. Mark Rowley, man, Rosie Posey, you're right up there. You're right next to little Terry. You're my big Terry. Sexy Russell, oh my god, I've seen a lot of sexy Russells in my time, and trust me, they all look like dog shit compared to you. Drug Lord Thrain, oh, you have some of the finest drugs that I've ever had the privilege to sample. And Terrell, I once saw Terrell beat a kangaroo up, beat 50 kangaroos up, and they all later died from complications. My name's Dead Leader. I'll see you out there in the verse.